Check 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3. Check 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Check 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. All right, well, let's get started here. I'm sure we'll have people that will be joining us here in the next few minutes. But in the meantime, we'll go ahead and get started and talk about what's going on in the world of weather today and right now. Well, sometimes, especially in our part of the country, it can be real difficult to forecast, believe it or not. It can be real difficult to forecast severe weather. Um, the reason is that, and I really don't know why it is like this, but it just seems like things just always set up, and I'm not complaining, so don't get me wrong. It always sets up south of us, north of us, east of us, or west of us, but only just a few times a year did it actually set up over us. And I'll admit that I jumped the gun a little bit about pulling the trigger on the first alert weather day for today. I did that, on Monday because it was looking pretty probable that we'd see some severe weather in the area. But the weather feature that's responsible for the severe weather pushed through early this morning with no storms. Well, there was some up in Comanche County, but most of us saw no storms from that. And now it's installed down towards the south. That's just typically where it's at. I mean, even though we have these fronts come through, it usually lines up down to the south here, and that's exactly what we're seeing today. So as of right now, I don't even know that we'll see any storms. We may see some later this afternoon and tonight, something isolated, but nothing too bad. Maybe small hail, but the main severe weather action is going to be just south and southeast of us here. And right now, we're seeing the strong to severe storms down here in the Dallas area, and there's some really nasty storms down here producing hail. It seems like this time of year, especially, that Dallas always gets hit with these big hailstorms. Again, I'm not complaining that we miss out on them because I absolutely hate hail. But here's the big supercell thunderstorms producing a little hail down this way. Now, these are what we call outflow dominant storms. They pose little to no tornado threat, mostly just a hail threat and a little wind. And you're kind of seeing that as of now down here right over the north side of Dallas. You can see the little outflow boundary there kind of coming out from it there. But there's your thunderstorm that's producing a little hail. Matter of fact, the little green triangle there says about 2.5 inches in diameter. So some pretty big hail is falling down here on the north side of Dallas, north of University Park, kind of moving over somewhere near perhaps Frisco or just south of Frisco into the Allen area, kind of over McKinney, these areas. So it's some pretty big hail again, kind of moving over Plano, Allen, and kind of headed to the east. So this is kind of over the north side of Dallas, moving towards the east side of Dallas. It looks like to me this is, somewhere pretty close to maybe Lake Louisville, maybe there's some hail there. And then from there to the east. So there's a pretty big hail there going on through the north side of Dallas at the moment. Now, as far as any rotation goes, probably not going to see much of it. Today does not look like a tornado day to me. I really don't see it. I mean, there's the supercells, they do spin. Their updrafts spin, but there doesn't appear to be any major rotation with this storm as of right now. Mostly just a hail producer. You can't rule out something that's isolated that could spin up down here, but I don't think we'll see much tornadic activity. Then you kind of follow the line. There's some storms that are south of Throckmorton, south of Graham. Those storms, too, are not moving in our direction. They're moving east along that stalled frontal system, or slowly sagging to the south frontal system, I should say. And we can go down here into Abilene, change radar sites real fast, and take a look at storms down there. This is going to be basically along and south of Interstate 20. Some pretty big storms down there. Look at that. Now, that's a big supercell near Coleman, Texas. And there's been a lot of bad weather in this part of the country this storm season. Like I say, the storm systems have just, and it's like this almost every year, have just skipped us and stalled to the south of us. It's just really hard to get severe weather. Believe it or not, I know you think it's that's not the case, but to get these bigger severe weather events, it's just really hard to get them here because, this is what usually happens. Fronts usually miss us, and then they go down to the south, and then that's where they usually are. So if you look here, there's big supercell thunderstorm. It says there's no TDS down there. That's not even a tornado warning. So sometimes the computer gets a little confused. Now this does have some rotation, and this is going to be south of the frontal system. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a tornado warning come out maybe in this cell here. That's got a little rotation with it there near Valera, well south of Abilene, kind of headed towards Santa Ana. That's a big bona fide supercell there too. And like I say, it's got a little rotation showing up on it. So there could be some, maybe later on this afternoon could be maybe a tornado warning or two for this particular cell down this way. But these are ahead of the front where they have full access to all that warm, moist air. Right now, mostly a hail producer, but again, there could be something trying to spin down this way, well south. And there's some other ones down here, kind of southeast to Midland, and you'll watch these other storms that are kind of along or just north of the front continue to try to develop there from about the Abilene area northward. There's some indications that there might be a storm or two that may try to break off of this later tonight and try to head up in northwest Texas. But as of right now, anything that would affect us would probably be just below severe limits, or if it was, it'd be confined to mostly hail. So mostly what we're looking at down here in central Texas is hail-producing storms. Eventually they're going to merge into what we call a big complex of storms where it'll just be a lot of heavy rain and wind that'll move through central and south Texas tonight. But again, there might be a brief window of opportunity for a tornado or two maybe in some of these areas later on today. So we'll keep an close eye on that if we kind of broaden this here a little bit. There are some severe thunderstorm warnings over there in the southeastern Oklahoma. I think that's what we're mostly looking at today is severe thunderstorm warnings and maybe a tornado warning or two in these areas. But up our way, actually it's pretty nice outside. Nice breeze blowing, and temperatures are cooler today than they were yesterday. So actually it's not too bad here at the present time. But I do want to take a minute and kind of talk about the next 24 to the next couple of days rather. This is known this weekend, the weekend before Memorial Day, is actually known as the peak of the tornado season, the very, very peak of it. So we'll just have to see. So, I don't have many people watching me. Of course, it's the middle of the day. We're not seeing a lot of storms here. I may have to wind up rethinking some of my platform use because I'm using something called Streamlabs and Facebook. I just dropped my phone. Sorry. And Facebook doesn't like it when you use a third-party device to stream. So that may be why I'm not reaching people the way I'd like to. So, no, I don't think Bowie is not going to see any crazy weather today. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard to say, Elaine, because Oklahoma, in comparison in size to Texas, isn't as big as Texas. I think Texas still leads the nation in tornado numbers, but that number's skewed because we're so big. But I would say per capita, yes, Oklahoma does. But officially, no. All right, so let's try to get into, first of all, I'm going to kind of walk you through the next 24 hours here. Give me a second here. Pull in the data. I'm going to try to zoom this in just a hair so y'all can see it a little bit better. All right, so this is my favorite model. This is the Her computer model, and we're zoomed in over our part of the world here. This would be dew point temperatures. This is the afternoon run. And this will take us into, Friday afternoon. So that purple color you see there is a real high octane moisture. That's where the real juice is. And it's kind of sagging to the south. That's where the front is. But watch what happens late tonight into tomorrow. Those higher dew point temperatures begin to surge north. But what I want you to pay attention to here is this area down here. That's known as a cold pool. And what produces that is thunderstorms that are developing early in the day. And those things are gobbling up the instability, the fuel that thunderstorms need. Notice how that progresses north. And so that's probably going to chew up what would otherwise probably be a pretty significant severe weather day for us tomorrow. There's a little disturbance that's kicking out in the morning, early afternoon, and that's going to produce some thunderstorms early on, and it's probably going to keep them from developing during the late afternoon and early evening when the atmosphere would be more favorable and more ripe for violent severe weather. With that said, there still could be some stuff along the dry line, but here we are this afternoon. Notice those storms continue to move away. And then here we are tomorrow morning. So that's what I'm talking about. If you look to the south, notice this little band of thunderstorms down here in central Texas around 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. Those slowly build north, and you can see, and they generate what's called probably going to be an outflow boundary of some sort, and the outflow boundary is going to be some rain cooled air, and that's going to probably help chew up some of that instability, or at least I think that's what the models are showing. But it still shows some storms up our way by lunchtime into the early afternoon. These would probably be marginal supercells with probably mostly a hail threat. Those kind of move up into central Oklahoma. And then as you get into the evening, there's a couple of severe storms that try to form along that dry line. But I think that these other storms, these clusters could wind up, killing what otherwise might be a more significant day. Now, there could be some storms down there near Dallas that could still be pretty rough. But it looks like, again, tomorrow is kind of a hail marginal kind of tornado producing kind of day. Otherwise, if we were to go throughout the day without storms, then I think tomorrow would be a lot more of a significant severe weather day. But again, tomorrow, maybe a few more storms than we're seeing today, at least up our way, but it doesn't look like anything too violent. Of course, I'll update that again tonight if anything changes. Then you go into Friday, and there's your front. Another front's pushing through. And then that's going to carry us into Saturday. And of course, Saturday is graduations taking place for the last graduating class of Ryder High School, and also the you got Old High that does it Friday night. You should be fine, and Thursday night will be fine too for Hershey tomorrow night, I believe, anyway. I still think it's very sad. This is our final graduating classes of these schools, but that's neither here nor there now. But let's get into Saturday. Saturday, we got graduation early in the day, and I absolutely hate the fact that we're going to be outdoors for that. It is going to be probably incredibly humid, I would think. We'll see. We'll get to that in a minute. So here we go. This is the upper level jet stream, and a couple little systems moving through. Nothing major, but here we are on Saturday. Notice what happens on Saturday. Notice that pink starting to show up there. That is a strong upper level jet stream kicking in. And as you look at that, this is going to help increase the wind shear in the atmosphere. So that helps to provide a lifting mechanism for thunderstorms. It helps them organize better. That would be our upper level jet stream there. But then we throw into, this would be our low level jet stream. This is the low level jet. This is key in severe weather oftentimes. Let's get into Saturday. So here we are Saturday morning, early afternoon, starting to increase a bit. And then you get into the late afternoon and you see a pretty decent low level jet. It's not incredibly strong, but it's pretty decent. Basically, anywhere in this pink area you see here, and it'll definitely spike up during the evening. So if we look also where the dry line is, a lot of moisture is coming in play on Saturday. There we are tomorrow, and then here we are Friday. Saturday morning may not be too bad. The front's still south. It could be pretty cloudy. But then we get into Saturday afternoon. Look at that moisture. Really, really high levels of moisture. That's soupy air, folks. There's your dry line, and you got a bulge down here in central Texas. Oftentimes, when you get that bulge going, is where you see storms form. But look at all that purple area there. That's really high octane moisture there. And if we kind of look at what we call significant tornado parameters. We're going to Saturday. I'm not worried about this. It shows that increasing throughout the day. So what a significant tornado parameter is, it just shows an atmosphere that would be favorable for supercells that interacted with it to produce um, spin in possible tornadoes. Um, and these are some pretty good, pretty big numbers. It'll probably spike there in the early evening. So the question is, will we get storms or not? There doesn't appear to be much of a cap on Saturday. The models are generating some, but not a lot of storm. I wonder if that happen. This is the NAM model. The NAM model sometimes doesn't do a very good job with convecting. I don't like the NAM model for showing precipitation areas. It doesn't show anything over us at all. Nothing anywhere on Saturday. But I think that's probably a little bit off. I think there will be. So if we get storms Saturday, they could be pretty rough. But you remember what I've been saying. Usually these big systems don't pan out for us. There's usually something here that prevents it from happening. So it wouldn't be surprising to me at all if we didn't see a drop of rain. So to kind of sum it up, maybe a little bit tomorrow, nothing Friday, and then we'll see what happens for Saturday. Saturday could be pretty significant if we get storms, but there's a big if in there. I wonder if the afternoon runs in yet. I think there will be storms, but I can't guarantee you that at this point in time. So, but we'll see how it goes. All right, so let me try to answer all you folks that are watching me right now. I'll try to answer your questions if I can. We'll pull back up radar while we're doing that here. So, all right. So, again, we don't have. No, yes, Douglas, they do. Douglas wants to know: do cold fronts back up light dry lines? Yes, they do. But when they back up, they're called warm fronts, and they do that. So let's see here. Ty wants to know if the storms, there could be some storms north of the Red River between 8 and 11 p.m. Like I say, there could be a pretty good tornado environment tomorrow evening, but there's that cluster of storms that's developing per the models, kind of near the Dallas area that may wind up killing all that. May wind up killing a lot of the instability. I do think hail could be an issue, but I don't know that we're going to see a lot in the way of tornadic activity tomorrow. It just doesn't. 2 days ago, it had that look, but as we gotten closer to that time, which it still would have that look, but again, there's that issue. There's an issue there, I think, that's going to keep that from happening. I do not think Kroll will get any storms today. No. I think thunderstorm chances there early in the afternoon, early to mid-afternoon there, Alex and Lawton. Hail's your main concern. Corey wants to know, is NAM more favorable for meteorologists? So somebody asks me that all the time. And I guess now that we've gotten to this day of streaming, people are showing this and talking more about these things. But I like the NAM for severe weather parameters. By that I mean I like the NAM to show the positions of the dry lines, the positions of the front, the strength of capping. And I also like the NAM for, parameters like CAPE and significant tornado values, those kinds of things. I do not like the NAM for convective coverage. That means coverage of precipitation. Oftentimes, if it doesn't put any rain when there should be rain, and then other times it puts too much rain when there shouldn't be any rain. But I'm a big fan of the NAM when it comes to severe weather forecasting. The HER model sometimes has a tendency to overdo it a bit. And then, but it can be really good too. But I do like the NAM for severe weather mostly. Yeah, I know that storm anxiety is real, and you got to be careful. And that's why I say please be careful about who you follow and who you watch. And remember that storm I was talking about down to the south? I said it could go tornado warning. Well, there it is. There it is. This is way south of us. This is down into the Abilene area. But, there is a tornado warning down. The first one of the day. Oh, actually, there's been a couple in southeast Oklahoma, too. But, there's your tornado warning down there. It's a storm we were looking at earlier. But like I was saying, you just got to be careful about who you follow and who you watch. And I'm not trying to do that to toot my own horn by any means. But it's widely known in the world of weather, and the meteorological circles anyway, that credible meteorologists are not being viewed as much as we used to be. And we're getting lumped into the same category as these kids that are home playing on the internet that throw weather data out there. It's been my life's mission to combat and fight these guys, but it isn't going to do any good. I can't beat them. I will tell you all right now, I cannot beat Ryan Hall when it comes to his social media coverage. I can't. He's got millions of followers, and I can't beat him. Do I think I don't believe he is a meteorologist. He could be. He may have gotten his degree. I don't know. But he's got a great streaming platform, and people love to watch him. When he does do a pretty good job, but he overhypes weather too much. But, it's gotten to where people tornadoes will be impacting their area, and they'll say, we don't even get our local TV people to cover us here, so we turn to Ryan Hall. Well, your local people do cover it. You're just not watching them. People watch streaming more these days than they do TV. And if you're not streaming, then they turn to these guys. That's why I try to stream as much as I can. But I don't have the reach that Ryan has. But he does do a good job. I'm not going to take that away from him. But there's other clowns out there, and I'm not going to name any names, that are not as good, that try to mimic Ryan Hall and that are not as good. There was one guy yesterday that said today would be the worst severe weather day of the entire year for North Texas. That he expected an increasing tornado risk. Well, that particular post got shared like over 500 times, and I got messages asking about it, and I had to combat that and say no. You know what? Here's the problem. No one cares if that guy's wrong. He's wrong almost every single time he is wrong. That kid, he's a kid playing on the internet that doesn't even know anything about weather much. That kid has more followers. I bet he has 500,000 followers. And that kid's forecast is wrong most of the time. And plus, he's like arrogant and cocky. I can't stand him. So anyway, well, like I say, I hate. Well, Reed. There's something that Reed has, Corey. Reed has skins in the wall. Now there are parts about Reed that absolutely make my skin crawl. But he's a very good meteorologist. I mean, I'm talking very, very good. He's credible. He's very good. But he's gotten too much about the show now. That's what makes my skin crawl. Yeah, he does, Addy. He raises victims. There was some questions about that a while back, but I don't know what. Yeah, I can't sit here and slam Ryan too much because he does do a pretty good job. But there's some other guys. Yes, that's who I'm talking about, Corey. And today is not a severe weather outbreak. There's going to be some hail, and there's going to be some heavy rain. What we've seen so far this year, there might be a couple tornadoes, but nothing out of the ordinary. And yeah, I do think that Reed's become dangerous too. I think he's let all this stuff get to his head, and it's become more about the show. Yesterday, Greenfield, Iowa, absolutely wiped off the map. And they, were high-fiving each other about and going excited about getting, and I get it. But, man, when people are losing their lives and losing everything they have, man, it's a bad look for you to be on there high-fiving and screaming and whatnot. It's a bad look. So... I got 63 viewers right now. If I was this other guy, I'm not talking about, max velocity. I guess I am. I guess if I'm him, I'm having several thousand watching right now. It makes me sick to know, though, that I've worked this hard to build credibility to give you the good information. Information that is a good forecast, and it's not meant to scare you. It's not meant to hype it up. It's to inform you. Then you got these bozos out there who have no schooling at all, and that kid is the rudest kid on the internet. He is rude. I'm not gonna get in a screaming match at them at all. I mean, I'm just not. You're not gonna win those things. But I'm just trying to tell you guys, please be careful about who you, because trust me, do not lump me in the same category as them, because that's what happens. Most people lump me in the same category as that guy right there. Then when he gets it wrong, well, all you guys always say this is going to happen, and no, I didn't. You didn't watch me. You watched that idiot. You didn't watch me. So I've got a degree. I've got a seal from the American Meteorological Society that I had to work very hard to get. And I don't want to sound cocky. I don't at all, because I'm not. I'm confident, yes, but I'm not cocky. But I just hate the fact that we've, as a weather community in general, have worked this hard to do what we've done, and then all of a sudden, overnight, somebody comes in and bam, it's gone. Listen, we've tried. We've talked to people about how to keep TV relevant and how to keep us in keep going, but sometimes it falls on deaf ears a bit. So nothing in Montego. Anything there today will be very isolated this evening, so I don't expect much. Yeah, you're right. It's accessibility. You're right, because their feed pops up because the algorithms like their feed because of what they do. My feed doesn't pop up because I'm not screaming and yelling. The algorithms don't like mine as much as they do theirs. And I don't. And I'll be honest. My focus remains on TV. It really does. So I don't have time to do every single outbreak that there is. My plan is to build a platform to where I can, but again, my excuse me, my concentration remains, Northwest Texas, Southwest Oklahoma, and it remains on the TV end of things. That's how I make my money. So Kurt, again, like I said a minute ago, I don't think you'll see much rain or storms in Montague County today. There might be a little bit up that way later on this afternoon, this evening, but it doesn't look that bad, so you'll be fine. Got a bit of a headache. Off and on headache over the last couple of weeks. I'm on vacation too, by the way. But, I'm not, I'm just here in town. I'm not doing it. I'm really a boring person. I really don't do much. I used to storm chase some, but I don't even have time to do that anymore. So I leave that up to people like Weatherman Cam. That's what you're going to get, Jerry. You're going to get the truth. You're not going to get the overhyped crap with me. But, even some people in TV have even gotten to where they do that too. I mean, I understand why, because, if we're not doing this, then we're getting left behind. And I almost feel forced to have to do it sometimes. I don't want to, but I feel like I'm almost going to have to. I think if I had more time to do what I want to do. Well, see, a lot of people are that way. They don't have TVs anymore. They have their phones and their computers, and they got smart TVs. Some people got smart TVs. They don't even have cable anymore. I don't even have cable at my house. So, everything I do is on streaming these days. But local TV and local TV news and local TV weather still plays a significant role in our life. You still need to be able to get your news locally and your weather locally. If it went away, which it very well may one day, then how are you going to stay informed? You won't. Bigger cities will, because they're going to always have something, but little small markets may not. And that's why I'm saying it's important to still watch your news and local news and weather, because if you stop watching it, it will go away, and we don't want that. We want to keep it, because it has still a viable, significant role in our lives. Think about it. If something happens in your community, the local TV stations are going to be all over it. Whereas if we're not there, there's nobody there to cover it. Then you won't know as much. Then you're going to come to social media, where all the fake stuff is, all the true fake news is. You know, especially TikTok, man. TikTok's the world's worst. That's where most of it is TikTok. But YouTube and Facebook are becoming just about as bad too. So, you know, if there was a magic button I could push and get more of a reach, I would. But you really can't. 3 years ago it was. Well, I appreciate that, Angie. And like I say, Ryan is his platform is very, very good. Um, but I don't want that to take away from your local weather people, because there's a lot of local weather people that are very, very good too, that know your area better than somebody like Ryan does, and can cover your area and give you information just as good, if not better, because they know your area. That's why it's important. Yeah, watch, for sure. I mean, I'll watch him too, and then there's storms up in Iowa. He's got a great platform, great stream there. Storm Chasers, I love it. But when it's in your local area, I would suggest turning to your local weather people, because they're going to know your area better, and they're going to be able to give you better information. So, yeah, I get that, Madison. I get that. It may or may not. It should. A local antenna should, but I do have an antenna on my TV, but it sometimes picks us up, sometimes it don't. So I don't know what the answer to it is. The only thing I'd say is download your news app, your First Alert weather app, your News Channel 6 weather app. You'll get it that way for sure. So, all right. Well, I'm gonna go, and I got a few little things to do around here, so I'm gonna jump off here, and I'll have more updates in the days to come. But in the meantime, I do not expect much in the way of bad weather today. If we see anything at all, something isolated this evening, maybe small hail, the worst, and then tomorrow maybe a little bit around, but doesn't look like anything too bad here either. And then Saturday, if we get storms, it could be bad, but we just don't know if that's going to happen yet. So we'll play that one by ear and wait and see what happens.